Hey guys, it's Lyrot. In this video we will touch upon the respawn mechanics. So respawning is kind of, critical when we have attacks which can quickly kill you. And so right now we're dead, we're kind of awkwardly lying on the ground, the camera is fixed, we cannot do anything, so let's fix this. So respawn takes, well, I mean there are different approaches, but it takes let's say writing some code in several key classes. So first of all, what we need to do is we need to detect that we are dead in the controller, because remember, the pawn is the guy who is running, and when the pawn dies, the controller, nothing happens to the controller. Controller is still controlling the pawn, but the pawn is dead. So it makes sense for us that we spawn a new pawn and then we possess it, because the way how the controllers work in Unreal, as we discussed in one of the previous videos, is that the controller is spawned on the map, player controller, and the player controller has access to our key presses, can kind of channels our camera view, so to speak, and it kind of represents us as input device and output device as well. So our keyboard, mouse, everything. So the controller possesses a pawn, and as the name suggests, pawn kind of can follow the controller commands. So when the pawn dies, controller is still fine, and now we just need to get to the next pawn. So let's try doing that. First thing we need to do, we can go ahead here, and let's say we find our death event. So we don't have a death event, of course, but we might as well make one just to make the code clearer. So whenever this happens, right, the HP is lower or equal than 0. That's the point when we say, okay, we died. So let's just quickly make custom event right here, die. Let's call it die. And by the way, it can only be done once. Right? And just like that. So we could make it a function, but in case we will want to do something here which takes time with like delays and play animation, in these cases it makes sense to keep it in the event graph, right? So if we die, and we only die once. You only live once, you only die once, right? YOLO. Okay, so we've got that going for us. What I wanted to do, I wanted to remove my own code when I had a controller, and the controller here was disabling the input on itself. Let's delete this. The reason we delete this, the reason we introduced it in a previous video, by the way, is that we had a situation when the controller was trying to attack, because the controller didn't check if we were dead. So now let's go ahead to LCC, I think it's called, how was it called, by the way? Do we actually have custom control? I don't remember at this point. So let's see, AI controller. I think we should have person blueprints. Yeah, LCC player control. That's the guy. Oh yeah, and by the way, just in case you have the same project structure, it makes sense to makes sense to move LCC player controller to core. And then sometimes when you move assets, you get some redirectors. So right click on content or any subfolder that might have redirect, because you moved stuff there or from there, and then do fix up redirectors in folder. That may do something or may do nothing if there were no redirects. That's good for fixing some issues with referencing wrong assets, so to speak. Okay, so we have here input action attack. So we cast the third-person actor, and then let's check if we're alive, because we have a function for it. That's a weird way to do it, but I think it's gonna work fine here. Call function or call function like that. Interface call. I think that's kind of where the interface is a little bit weird. Let's do message. That's the typical way to do it. Okay, because it was doing this weird yellow interface input. Okay, so if we are alive indeed, then we do attack. Now if we are not alive, we do something else. So what we will do is we will respawn after, well, I mean, let's try immediately. Okay, so the way how we respawn is well, we could try something real simple. So first of all, get all actors of class, right? And the class will be player start, because that's where we started the game, right? And then let's make sure that the length of this guy is more than 0, so it's not empty. And when this is the case, so there is at least one element, we go ahead and we take the very first one. We're not gonna shuffle for now, it's not like a multiplayer match yet, we're just gonna respawn the guy, right? So we get this guy, and the reason why we need a player start, we need a location where we're gonna spawn the next pawn, right? So now we're just gonna do spawn units. Oops, sorry, that's not unit, it's spawn actor. I was thinking about the code I wrote for a different project as well. Okay, so we're gonna spawn the guy. Now, which class will it be? The thing is that it may be third-person character or third-person. Yeah, actually, it can only be third-person character in our case. So we don't need to even check, because what I want to do, I wanted to check what was the class of our current pawn. But we don't need to do it because we can only be, if we're in player controller will only possess third-person character, right? Because third-person character bot, the other pawn class, it's possessed by AI controller. Okay, so spawn actor third-person character, right? And the transform, we're just gonna go ahead and get transform of our player start. Okay, collision, try to adjust location, always spawn. Kind of the best option for us now. Owner, instigate, you don't have to fill this unless you're doing multiplayer code, so I'm not gonna fill this for now. Okay, so we have this guy, let's pretend that it's always successful. It most probably should be successful, right? And we're just gonna possess this guy. Okay, now when you possess one guy, you unpossess the other guy that you already possessed, so we don't need to unpossess. This should work fine. Let's see if it does. I may have forgotten something. So he doesn't see us. And now he sees us. And by the way, once again, I'm sorry, I don't know why it happens, but I have this bug here again. Target, actually, do I? Yeah, is an attack distance of target. So that's the bug. I should just redo this thing eventually. Okay, hello, boom. Okay, so we're dead. Click, and ooh, something really interesting happens. Okay, couple of interesting things. I guess we have problem with the scale. Yeah, because for some reason our so if you're wondering why it was like this, like a piece of paper, it was the scale of this guy is like minus 0.25. So let's put this to 1. Okay, this probably isn't the only problem, but let's see. Just go away. Okay, so I think it works. Go away. Okay. Hello. Oops. No. Oh, that was just ridiculously good. I liked it. Okay. So, as you can see, it kind of works. One thing, we have all these guys lying around. We don't like that, because, you know, they will just flood our memory. So, what we can do, we can go ahead, third-person character, and make a function here, which we can call to trigger kind of self-destruct timer. So, let's just call here... Well, actually, we don't need to do that. We can just put it to die. But let's make sure that the controller calls it, so it doesn't happen that we die and our body disappears before the controller can respawn. So as long as we lay there, we're dead. It's fine. But then we can have a custom event once again, which will say self-destruct. Let's just call it like that. And we can even ask for, you know, how long do we wait? Wait. Let's call it wait time, and it will be float, right? So the logic is really easy. And by the way, once again, this can only happen once. We cannot trigger it twice. So just do once. I don't think you have to do once when you have delay, but just in case, let's put it this way. So you do only once, and then we wait the wait time. By the way, you can have default values, so let's put here like 30 seconds, and then after this, destroy actor, right? I think this will destroy the lightsaber as well. Let's see. And the way how we check it, of course, is before we possess the new guy, we take our previous pawn, get pawn. So this is a player controller, so he should have access to pawn. Can control pawn, yeah. Okay, so we can sequence these events, of course. Sequence these events. After we spawned, or if we can even do before we spawn, but for now let's do it like that. So get controlled pawn, cast to third-person character, of course. We assume that it's always true, so it's pure cast. And trigger. Why not? Self-destruct, sorry. Let's call self-destruct after just 5 seconds. Just to test this stuff, right? Okay. So we have the guy, he attacks us, we die, boom, we respawn, and then let's look at our body. And our body disappears. So it works just fine. And let's just check that it works twice. Usually you ought to test at least twice before you say, okay, probably the code is fine. Probably, still. Bugs can be really prominent and sometimes even hard to notice. Okay, and the next guy always disappears as well. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, so this is kind of the stupid and simple way to do respawning logic. We still have a lot of stuff to do for the project to look at least somewhat decent. So next time, well, actually we will see what we do next time. There are a lot of improvements, so you can post in the comments what you think should be the most crucial thing to work on in the next videos. Thank you for watching, and see you next videos. Like, subscribe. Bye bye.